Before we start, come on visit thedealconfidence.com and click the subscribe button and also hit like. If you want to be updated on our new upload, just hit the notification bell and you'll be updated automatically. Now let's proceed to the video.
I'm going to pause here and ask if anyone has any questions about the concept of tired landlord or about this particular deal, because I know there's a bunch of people on the call and we've been talking for a while. Any questions? No? Everybody knows exactly how to do this and replicate what we just did and do it better and bigger?
Maybe not better and bigger, but I get the general concept of this.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping for better and bigger. Here's why. What Souley and I did, I want to do obviously more of, and so does he, and hopefully so do some of the people on this call. So here's the offer that I'm making. Getting this data, well, this and that data, getting the data is the pain in the butt, because even though they make it fairly easy, there were 820 some odd, I can't remember the exact number, but there were 800 and change evictions filed in Oklahoma, in Tulsa County alone in the month of January of 22. So there's a whole lot of evicting going on, and pulling all that data is time consuming and tedious. And I believe, I'm reasonably confident that I have a system that can extract that data with not a huge amount of effort. But if I can extract the data, then I can provide to folks that are in the Deal Confidence group, I'm prepared to provide these leads under the following circumstances. A, you have to be an active member of the Deal Confidence group. So as long as you're active, I'm happy to give you more leads. And B, the arrangement is we will split the deals 50-50. If you find a deal based on the data that we're going to provide you, the tired landlord data that we're going to provide you, then I'm going to ask you to talk to the seller, because that's where you need to practice. I'm going to ask you to run the numbers, because that's where you need to get practice. And in fact, I'm going to encourage you to bring that analysis to these unstoppable Q&A calls so that we can make sure that they make sense and we can all get practice analyzing our numbers. And then when we get to the point of making an offer to the seller, just like Souley did, we're going to walk you through how to set up those agreements and how to send those. Souley did them with electronic signature, so there was no wet signature for the purchase and sale agreements. It was all done electronically. We can help you set up all that stuff, and then we'll go off and start trying to find a buyer. And if we can find an investor buyer, or I should say, once we find an investor buyer, we will seek to close quickly, and whatever the spread is between what we bought it for and what we're selling it for is our wholesale fee. And I will happily split that 50-50 with whoever can bring me deals. Because as I've been saying for the last 2 years, I need more deals. I've got buyers, I need deals. So, and also I want to learn the Tulsa market. And the best way to learn a market is to wholesale, because I'm not committed to any particular area, because I'm not a landlord yet. I'm just a wholesaler, but I get to learn what markets, what areas move fast, what areas are still kind of, questionable. And although I live in Tulsa, Tulsa is a big enough market, and there's so many sub-markets. You go 2 blocks in any direction, and it's a completely different sub-market with a completely different name and a completely different history. And I haven't learned it all yet. I know some parts, but I don't know it all. And so this way I can learn it better, and so can you, while we're getting paid. And I'm fine with that. So this is kind of a get paid as you go program, but I don't have to pay you. You don't have to pay me. Just work the leads and let's get these deals under contract so that we can close as many of these as possible. I would love to do 10 wholesale deals a month. And if I can find, I don't need 100 people doing this. If I can find 5 to 10 serious investors who want to go to work, then everybody wins. And again, this was a small deal. Usually I'm looking for wholesale fees in the 10,000 and up. So instead of, Souley and I splitting 6, we'd be splitting 12 maybe, or 15 or 20. And that makes it a lot more appealing, but it's a numbers game. So if you can do 10 of these and each one is $5,000, that's still $50,000. If you can do 10 of these and you can make $10,000, then that's even better. So that's my offer. And I will make it only to the people who are in the deal confidence group, because I'm not going to teach anybody how to analyze the deal. You've got to come to me with the analysis. I'm going to expect you to do that on your own. I will happily train people on how to talk to sellers, or at least how I do it. If you want to ask Souley how he did, you're welcome to do that. We'll do best practices on things like how to send out texts, there's Cherie, and such, to connect with these folks. But the good news about tired landlords is that you don't have to explain to them the business of real estate, because they're already in the business. They're already collecting rents. So it's unlike, what I call civilians, unlike people who are living in the house themselves, who have a personal interest and stake in the property. These folks are in it for the money. And if it doesn't make the money, then there's no reason for them to be in it. If you're not making any money anymore as a landlord, you need to sell it to somebody who can actually make some money off of it and walk away. And this guy, Paul Bengal, has more than one property. So we're going to be going back to him and trying to buy everything else that he's got. And he's not the only landlord who's cashing out right now in Tulsa. So there's plenty of opportunity here. There's no need for us to step all over each other. There's hundreds and hundreds of these tired landlords out there. And if we can work together to do these deals, then we all benefit. So that is my offer. Anyone have any question about that at this point?
I have a question, not specifically about the offer, but as in how you guys inspected the property condition. Is that okay with everyone? I just want to ask a quick question about that.
It's a good question. So even if it's not okay with everyone, it's a good question that deserves to be answered. My brother asked me that question today. And the cool thing about wholesaling is what Souley thinks of the property is irrelevant. What I think of the property is irrelevant. What matters is what the buyer thinks of the property. And so what we were tasked with doing is making sure that we could get them access to the property. So Souley talked to the seller, and the minute that the tenant moved out, or not the minute, a couple of days after the tenant moved out, once the owner had a chance to get back in there and see how much of a mess they left it, because they left it in a bit of a mess, he left us a key. And so I went over to the house, I took that key, I put it in a lockbox, I put the lockbox on the front gate. It wouldn't fit on the doorknob. So on the front gate, and with a code on it. And then we waited and then we told people, hey, we're starting to do scheduled viewings, inspections, call us to schedule your time. And then they said, okay, I want to see it tomorrow at noon. Great. I met them at the house at noon. I didn't have to meet them, but I wanted to meet these people because I don't know Oklahoma investors yet. So I wanted to meet these people. And I got the key out of the lockbox. I opened up the door, let them take a look around and see what they thought. The house was vacant at this point, so I let them do their thing. I sat in one case, it was so cold, I sat in the car because there's no heat in the house. So I sat in the car while she walked through the house and did whatever she had to do. And then when she was done, I locked it up. And we went our separate ways. So I don't have to inspect. I just have to give them access so that they can inspect. Now, yes, I do want to have a rough idea what it needed. So when we first got access, I did walk through it and I took pictures and video, and Souley and I talked about it. We had made an estimate originally of what we thought it would take to get it rent ready. We estimated about 10. Having seen it, it was about that, maybe 15, but it was, to make it rent ready, it wasn't a lot more than 15. So we weren't way off, depending on what you would have done to it. I wouldn't have done a whole lot to it, but some people complained about a foundation issue on the back. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't, but we don't have to arm wrestle with them. They take a look at it and they decide for themselves if our estimates and our numbers were accurate. And if they are, then they tell us what they're willing to pay for it. So we don't do inspections when it comes to wholesaling. We do.
Can I add one more? Sorry.
Oh, sure, absolutely. No, jump right in.
And the thing you mentioned about the foundation is if you find a serious buyer, honestly, our buyer did not even actually say anything about the foundation. He had a contractor. He had a contractor and I believe an agent or someone else go in there, but they actually didn't. The buyer came back to me did not mention anything about foundation issues or anything like that. He was serious and he was ready to move. So I think you're a serious buyer. They're just wanting to, if it's a good enough deal for them, they're just gonna move. They're gonna move forward.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And if you're wrong, if we had estimated based on our numbers that it was 10 and it turns out to be 20, it'd be a little embarrassing, but okay, so now it's 20. So given that it's 20, do you want to buy it or don't you? I mean, it really comes down to the beauty of wholesaling is that you're not dealing with civilians. You're not dealing with people who are buying it because they like the look of the house. You're dealing with people who are buying it solely as an investment. And either it makes sense for you or it doesn't. If it doesn't, tell me why it doesn't, and maybe I'll adjust my numbers if I can. I mean, we started off thinking we were going to make 80 or trying to sell it for 80, which would have been an extra $10,000 more for us, which would have been nice. But the market said not so much. And so we had to adapt to the marketplace.
Okay.
But that's a fair question. So none of our money went to doing an inspection. We're not doing a full-blown inspection because if I were the investor buying this, I wouldn't trust my inspection anyway. I'd still want to do my own inspection. We're going to do an inspection, so it's a waste of money. Same thing with comps.
Conflict of interest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a conflict of interest. So I just assume what they really want is they want access. When I'm buying from a wholesaler, just give me the key and let me do my thing. And when I'm done, I'll get back to you and let you know if I'm interested or not. And those are the kind of investors we were looking for. And that's pretty much what we got. We got a few tire kickers, but that's okay. Because Souley, how many people do you think we had to show it to total? I'm thinking like 5, maybe 6.
It was about 7, I believe.
Oh, 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you showed it to a bunch more people after I guess I was out of pocket. I was someplace. I'm not sure where I was.
Yeah, because right after we even have it, I got it under contract. There was 3 more people that actually went and saw it, and they were waiting on it. They're waiting on they're waiting on me to get back to them if somehow if the deal fell through. No.
Got it. And that is another pro tip is that we don't stop showing once it goes under contract. We don't stop showing until it closes because I've had investors flake out days before closing. And so until it's gone, it's still showable. I'll tell the people, hey, it's under contract, but we're taking backup offers. But I've learned not to stop showing a property until it's closed, not contract, under contract. Under contract means nothing. Closed. And so yeah, we did show it a few other times after we got it under contract. And we can, again, I'm happy the whole purpose of this was when I started doing coaching, and I don't think any of my students are on the call right now, paid coaching, that is. I started doing paid coaching, and I was trying to explain to people how to do tired landlords in their market. And every market is different. And if you happen to be in a market that makes it challenging to get this data, then it's hard to get traction because I got to learn a new system and a new county, and it was a pain in the butt. And I'm like, why am I teaching people how to do this in their market? Just pick a market and get them starting to talk to sellers because that's what you want. The individual market doesn't matter. I say the same thing to the people in Tulsa that I say to the people in Cobb County, Georgia, and Lubbock, Texas. I mean, the message doesn't change. A tired landlord is a tired landlord anywhere. If your tenant's not paying you, you're a tired landlord. And you don't want to do this anymore, you're a tired landlord. So the message doesn't change regardless of the county, but there are some counties that make it very, very difficult, as in there's either the system doesn't have all the data that you need, or in Philadelphia, you can't go one level down without, there's the equivalent to CAPTCHA, prove that you're a human being and not a computer, not a robot. Well, the system that I have for pulling the data off of Tulsa County is a program. It's a web spider that crawls this website and pulls all the data out. So I can't do it for networks that require a human being, and Tulsa hasn't done this yet. So for as long as they don't do it, I can pull the data in minutes. I can pull an entire month's worth of data in 5 minutes. And so I've done December and January. I'm going to go back to November, October, and probably September. And then I'm going to have leads that even if I wanted to, I can't work them all myself. This is not enough time in the day. And so I need help working those leads. And realistically, if you can start talking to sellers immediately and not have to worry about getting the data or building the system, here's a phone number, here's a name, here's an address, text them. And when they respond back to you, say these things. And when you get practice doing that, that experience will carry you wherever you happen to do it. You can learn in Tulsa and then apply it wherever you happen to be. So that's my new philosophy, is I'm not going to try to learn your market. I'm going to pick a market. In this case, for now at least, it's Tulsa. If we somehow manage to soak up all of the opportunity in Tulsa in the next couple of months, then we'll pick up and focus on someplace else, like Lubbock, Texas, or Houston, or Waco. But there are tons of markets out there that you can exploit this strategy as long as the data can be obtained fairly easily. And Tulsa, as I said, is one of the easiest I've ever come across. I do want to talk one last, well, let me pause and ask if any questions about anything at this point.
All right, that is the tired landlord clip. To watch the other part of the Unstoppable Q&A video, please go check the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great deal.